For those of you who know me, you know that I am a Roman Catholic. So that's my religion, surprise. Now, you guys also know that my Pope recently got changed, right? Because the old one died, now we have a new Pope. But for some reason, we are still on Orfist Regis. And the question is, why? Hey, what's going on, guys? RS4 here. Today I am back to talk about Cardinal Dominus, Orfist Regis, or Orfist Regis, because we can't have cool things anymore. Today I'm here to talk about this deck and why I believe this deck is back to prominence. Oh, hell, it's not even a belief anymore. It's a fact. There have been multiple local tops in Japan with this deck, and it's kind of frightening. I even attended WGP recently, and one of my opponents was an Orfist Regis player, no mask. He won because he pulled the over trigger, but that's not the reason why I'm doing this video. The reason why I'm doing this video is because I've tried this deck myself, and frankly, I'm a huge fan of it. Okay, I really believe that things have happened, and I want to talk about it. I'm really impressed with this deck, and that's rare for me to say, because for those of you who know Orfist history, you know that this deck has had a very rocky start since DBT01, and you know, we've kind of gone through quite a fair bit of tough times. We did have Orfist Regis, who came out in DBT06/Festival 2022, and he obviously was alright, but he was very mediocre, right? Because a lot of the support didn't actually address Orfist Regis. Orfist support has a very weird motive where they just do their own random shit for a whole set, then they just skip and do it again. If you don't believe me, just Google every Cardinal in Brangate, and you're gonna realize you're gonna get stroke from reading them. The only time they got a really unified support wave, which would be Orfist Masques, alongside the standout deck set Orfist, which gave us Playable Draco, right? And that was, I dare say, the only time the deck felt united so far. And that's probably why Orfist was able to become a meta deck. It's strictly because of a perfect storm of cards that came out around the same time that they could power lift and power creep this deck to decent playability. Now, fast forward 2 years since Orfist Masques, and you know, a lot of things have happened. Orfist has mainly, you know, faded away into irrelevancy for a few months, or hell, a year. But last year, linked in the description below, I did talk about Cardinal Dominus Orfist, as in the original Orfist from DBT01, and how I believed a whole set of his recent cards from DZBT05 really made him prominent again, right? The original Orfist. And since then, I think Bushiroad has caught on, or at least I suspect they have wires in my house, and they've started printing 2 different support cards in 2025 that put Orfist Regis back on the map, right? So they made these 2 really strange cards that I will break down, and they seem to solve the entire problem with Orfist Regis to the point that now people are playing this over Mask. And in my opinion, I think that's the best possible outcome for any deck's legacy support, that we can power creep the older waves and bring even older stuff back. I think that's really cool, and I want to show it to you because frankly, I'm a huge fan of Orfist. I played Orfist since set 1, like 2021. I started doing Orfist Regis deck profiles as soon as I got my hands on Orfist Regis. And you can check out the links in the description below as well. Like straight up, I did an Orfist Regis DivineZ deck profile back when DivineZ first started, and you will be able to do a cross comparison and see. I recommend you to check all the links in the description for both that video and the last Orfist deck discussion from the original Cardinal Deus Orfist, where I talked about Hostage Orfist, because some of that support still lasts here. Okay, so finally I've talked all that out of the way, because frankly I've been very excited. Now let's talk about the highlight, the main card that's brought Orfist back to relevancy, and that is this tournament promo from May-June 2025. I have no idea when this is coming in English, I'm very sorry. Okay, this is Boundary of Twilight, and this is a world card. So again, if you don't know anything about Orfist, I really recommend you check out the previous 2 videos because you will need it. Okay, now first and foremost, this is a grade 1 world, which has implications by itself. I'll get into that later on. So I'll just tell you what it does first. So obviously it's a set on the card, you set it, and then what it does is when you set it, right, when it enters the order zone, you can reveal from your right deck a grade 3 card with Orfist in its name. So in this case, we're picking Orfist Regis. Now, if you do that, or if your Vanguard is already a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Orfist, you can draw 1. Now, for those of you who have no idea about Orfist's history, we already have a draw spell, and that is Howling Moonlit Night. But that's a grade 2 and it costs a Soul Blast. This is free. This is completely free. This is a cycle card in Orfist where you just throw the order, draw. And that's really good. Again, Orfist already had a draw spell, but the fact that now it's free without costing soul does a lot of benefit for this deck, especially because we are not on the Mask engine. The Mask engine gives us extra soul. We don't have that privilege, so having a spell that counters that is already very good. Now, the main effects, what you're here for, is of course the normal world effect, which is if you have one world, the world is considered Dark Knight. If you have two worlds, it's Abyssal Dark Knight. Again, these are basics for Orfist, so just check it out. As for those of you who know, once you hit Dark Knight and Abyssal Dark Knight, all your Orfist skills will trigger, right? If you just don't, you will lose, just like the 2023 Worlds participant for Vanguard. But here's the fun part. You will never fail like him. You will never not see Dark Knight and Abyssal Dark Knight, because, as I'll mention later, this is a grade 1 world. You can search up on grade 1 with Rautis, right? That's his name, right? Yeah, this is Rautis. And after that, it's Cubicia. Like, you can search this off grade 1 immediately and just add it to your hand and play it, and you are already guaranteed Dark Knight. Next turn, just play any order, God forbid, and you're immediately on Abyssal Dark Knight on turn 2, which is a lot faster because this is Orfist's very first grade 1 world. Of course, yeah, like I said, if you don't know anything about Orfist, this means nothing to you. But for those of you who've played Orfist, this is a game changer, because now all of your grade 1 supports can be used earlier by a whole turn because of Dark Knight and Abyssal Dark Knight. The most prolific one is going to be this one, which is Cardinal Fang Raphilok. Raphilok is a promo from last year. He was the second last Monday Bushiroad promo. Again, I've talked about Raphilok in the previous video, links in the description for that video. It is the previous Cardinal Deus Orfist video, that's when I talked about it. But basically, Raphilok is an EB3 top 7 if you're in Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight. Add a world or a grade 3 card from among them to your hand and you shuffle, right? Now, originally, you couldn't play this on turn 1 because you're not in Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, but now you can, right? As long as you have the energy, you can just pay the cost. So again, being able to use a lot of the skills a turn earlier is really strong. This is basically like how Z-Lance got a double red, it really solved the deck. Again, I will put the Z-Lance link in the description below, just so that we are all, we're all caught up, just so that we all are talking on the same wavelength. Now, there is more that this card does. There is more. There is a third hidden effect, which is its activator skill. In the order zone, right, if you have a Vanguard with Orfist in its name that's grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast 1, and you can rest this spell. Right, you can rest Boundary of Twilight. You can now superior call 1 Shadow Army token to a rearguard circle. So this is a Shadow Army, in case you have no idea, right? And then if you do, this card changes its name, right? It changes its name from Boundary of Twilight into Dark Shadows Dancing in the Night, or Dark Shadows Moving in the Night. I'm not sure about the translation, but I'm sure someone will correct me. Now, at face value, you're probably like, the card's changing name, I don't give a shit. But actually, I do, because that means that you get one more effect back, and that will be the aforementioned Polaxis Dragon, right? Polaxis Dragon can use its effects only on different named orders. So that's how the support card works. Now, the thing is that if you have orders with all different names, you can trigger Polaxis more effectively to build other orders into your order zone. And so, if you actually have 2 copies of Boundary of Twilight, one in your order zone, one in your drop zone, if you change one of their names into a different name, in this case, Dark Shadows Dancing in the Dark Night, you now get to use the other Boundary of Twilight from the drop zone for Polaxis Dragon's effect. Again, all these very weird niche situations don't make sense to you if you have never heard or played Orfist in your life. But for those of you who have, I know you understand what I'm trying to tell you. This card is insane, but I'm going to get into the later part of the video where I talk about why this is Orfist Regis support and not Orfist Masques. Now, the next card that they printed a month earlier in DZBTO8, and yes, I actually did want to talk about this card a bit earlier, but then the promo came out, so I'll do it at the same time. This is Cardinal Draco Delcomanis. Delcomanis. I'm sorry. I can only read the katakana, that's what's helping me. I have no idea what this guy is called in English. Now, Delcomanis is actually a power crap version of Cardinal, what's his name? The Opad, right? The Cardinal Noid, was it? Cardinal Noid Opad, I think that was it. Yeah, so basically Opad was a really strong card in Orfist where you could pay a cost and just mill any order you want from your deck into your drop zone. Right, and then the second ability is that when your Orfist Masques, when the unit's retired, you can superior cost Shadow Army token over it when it's retired. So basically, you can continue the multi-attack for 1/1 cost. Now, Delcomanis seems to have learned that lesson, but does it not only cheaper, but better. And it doesn't get locked to Orfist Masques, which begs the question, then who is it for? So let me explain. First and foremost, when this unit is placed on a Vanguard circle, from the hand, if your world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, which again, not a problem because your Grade 1 world already puts you in Dark Knight, you can now search your deck for up to 1 world card and mill it and shuffle your deck. And this unit gets 2000 power until the end of the turn. Really effective skill. They just printed Column Bard on this card, I don't know why. So now basically you can just take any order, any world spell you don't want in your deck and just toss it to the drop zone, which is really good because you set up not only for Polaxis Dragon, who will later on be able to set from the drop zone, but don't forget, Orfist Regis naturally sets from the order zone, right? From the drop zone to the order zone. So now you are just milling out your worlds. You don't actually have to hard draw or hard search them. You can just drop it for free, by the way, and then you can just curve into it by just setting it through your natural place. It comes naturally, so don't worry. Also, the fact that he gains 2000 power for free means that going second, you can use this to solo attack a Grade 2 Vanguard. Again, I know this doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but magic numbers as a Dragon Empire main, this is bursting all of the synapses in my brain because it's just that good. You can just rush now with Orfist, which traditionally, Vanguard decks don't really do well in rush unless you're Eva. You know what I'm saying? But now you can just do that with a guy and just go, haha, mill, swing, let's go. Which is, it is impressive, okay? It is impressive. Now, his second skill is even more spicy. From the drop zone, right? So when he's retired and put there, or if you discard him, he has an ability from the drop zone. Activated skill. If you have a Grade 3 or Greater Vanguard with Orfist in its card name, you can Energy Blast 2 and bind this card. And then you can call a Shadow Army to Vanguard. So now he's sending you reinforcements from beyond the grave at a cost of 2 energy, which is not too bad if you think about it, and binding him from the drop zone where he's already irrelevant, you now get a Shadow Army token. Just like that. And that begs the question, why? Like, it's an oddly specific skill that gives you a body, right? Like, you have to set it up. It has to go in the drop zone, either by being called over through your Orfist effects or just by being discarded. And then now you can just get a body during your main phase to build a board. Why does that matter? So, let's talk about them together. Delcomanis, as well as Boundary of Twilight, offer you a very new and dynamic way to play Orfist in terms of 2 things. One, they are both Grade 1. Surprising, and that means that your entire Grade 1 axis for Orfist has changed, no matter the variant. Orfist can now play a lot more aggressively and can now have his game plan pushed by 1 turn, which is important, highlight that. And the idea is that by having a Dark Knight on Grade 1 and Abyssal Dark Knight on Grade 2, you can actually set up for 3 orders by turn 3. Again, if this is starting to smell like Eva or Zlands, you're correct. And the reason why that matters, most importantly, is for Orfist Regis, whose ability triggers for every 2 World Order spells. So the idea is that by playing Orfist Regis alongside your Grade 1 order, which by the way, you can search out no matter what, you now are guaranteed to have 4 orders on turn 3. And 4 orders on turn 3 means that Orfist Regis can call 2 Shadow Army tokens when he attacks instead of 1. So that means Orfist Regis goes up into a 5 attack deck on turn 3. That is nothing to scoff at. That is the exact weakness of Orfist Regis I was talking about. And it is completely countered. Now, there is no reason why Orfist Regis cannot be a good Vanguard, because this is it. This whole pushing of an axis 2 turns earlier, instead of turn 5 or turn 4, you can now start on turn 1 in terms of building your worlds. You even enable your older power supports, such as, you know, Mr. Raphilok or Shekanoko. Like, it is really good. There is no other way to evade it. It is just insane. The fact that both Delcomanis as well as Boundary of Twilight give you an order, give you a token, right, from their outside of zone effects. Delcomanis gives you a token from the drop, this guy gives you a token from the order zone, and leaves you with a body. While at first glance sounds like Orfist Masques support, because Orfist Masques needs to call over a body, I would argue it actually works better for Orfist Regis, because Orfist Regis has a very bad hand issue, right? Because Orfist Regis goes through the deck very quickly, in the sense that he also has very low hand shield value and he discards for a lot of his effects. Now you can just pay them all back by just building a board for free and then just continuing the assault on 5 attacks, even if you only have 1 to 2 cards left in hand, at pretty high numbers because of the nature of Shadow Army tokens, which are 15k. So again, it begs the question on, like, you know, why does it matter then? Like, so what? Like, yeah, you push it up, yeah, it makes Orfist a better deck. Orfist Masques also can benefit off it. But the thing about Orfist Masques is that Orfist Masques already has ways to loop its orders, right? Because you can destroy order officers from your drop zone and reset the order, and Orfist Masques takes out orders from the order zone at intervals of 2 to call a Shadow Army token, whereas Orfist Regis is counting the number of worlds set in the order zone earlier, right? So again, while they do sound arbitrarily similar, there is a difference in it, in that Orfist Regis actually can have a much better turn 3 going first than Orfist Masques, right? Because in a format currently, you know, the current state of the game we're in, like, being able to do 5 attacks going first is really good, and there's a reason why this deck has been winning. Not only that, being able to use Raphilok to search out an Orfist Regis and Persona Right also guarantees that on turn 4, if you can Persona Right, you will have 6 orders. Sorry, I don't know why I tried to gesture in my hand. You can't see me. You will have 6 orders, right? Because of Orfist Regis on place and your normal set of an order, which means now you get to call 3. Okay, I can gesture this time. 3 set orders. No, sorry, you can summon 3 Shadow Army tokens in the same battle phase, which again, that is insane numbers wise. There is no joking around that. So that is really why Orfist Regis has been winning a lot, because this game plan not only flows very easily because of the ease of access, you now also get numbers that are competitive to Orfist Masques without going through all the bricks. I can tell you, I played Orfist Masques at a WGP. I went 4-0 with it at one point, and I can tell you it was very difficult because of the amount of mulliganing you need to do and the amount of actions and steps you need to do with this deck in terms of planning. You don't need to plan with this deck. Just draw the grade 1 and use it. It is so simple. Even an idiot can play this deck now. Well, you know, but that's a good thing, right? So again, that's really all I have to say for the new cards for Orfist, because I really believe that the two of them are really strong, and they have both solved issues I've had for Orfist Regis for years now. Finally, they've addressed it rather than going around and round and round the mulberry bush by printing weird support that didn't really make sense for like multiple sets for Orfist in a row, and that just makes me really glad. So, because I'm in a good mood, I'm going to give you the deck profile for this deck. It's going to be a very lightning quick deck profile because you've most likely seen lists like this before, but in case for those of you who are interested to try Orfist Regis, I will just give this deck profile. Again, I've explained the 2 new cards in this video. If you watch the previous few videos, links in the description, you will know the skills of the rest. Okay, so here we go. I only will explain the decision making besides what goes in the deck rather than how to play the deck. Alright, deck, we obviously played Neon Messiah because they are all servants of Messiah. Played grade 1 Routis because he searches for a world. You know what to search. The grade 2 Cubicia. You could play Combine Russia in this slot, but Cubicia is better for the magic number. And of course, the king, the goat, the Pope, Orfist Regis. So again, he's your win con, so just playable. Very, very simple card. Our grade 3s, we are playing 4 copies of Orfist Regis with one in the right deck. And then we also play 1 copy of In the Darkness Nobody Knows and 2 copies of Overcoming an Eternity. We can play much lesser of our individual orders now besides Boundary of Twilight because of Delcomanis. Don't forget, Delcomanis can thin out any order we want, which means we can just play like Grand Blue and just mill off anything. So you can now play it at lesser copies, which opens up a lot of space for the deck, which is very good. So with that extra flexibility, I can even add it in the darkness nobody knows, because this is a great way to snipe off Yu Mashad. Okay, so basically you have a spot remove option in the deck, which is very valuable in any competitive format. 2 copies of Overcoming Eternity. This one is at 2, just as a safety net. Basically, this is a win more card where all of your newborn Shadow Army tokens gain 5 the turn they are placed. You can stack it if you play more than 1, but frankly, this is only used just to push aggro a bit more, especially going first, right? When you have 5 attacks on turn 3, you can actually set up Overcoming Eternity and push for higher numbers than normal. But again, if you play too many of Overcoming Eternity, it is a brick because it doesn't give you a utility. It's just numbers, and the numbers requires you to already build a board or have the capabilities to build a board. Again, thanks to Boundary of Twilight and Delcomanis, we are now guaranteed to build boards for free in terms of hand resource. So it's not too big of a deal, but we can't be too greedy, right? Because if anything, Catholicism teaches you about self-denial. Our grade 2s are very simple. Our grade 2s, we play 1 copy of Howling Moonlit Knight. Previously, this was a 4-off. We don't need to do it anymore. 1 copy of Eroding Twilight. I chose to play my tournament version because I want it. Basically, this guy also puts in a Shadow Army token just for 1 Color Blast. It's not a good card, but we are playing it because it's an additional name. It's a different name, so it will trigger off Polix's Dragon. Polix's Dragon, for those of you who don't know, I'm sorry, this is like the main heart of Orfist comparatively for years now. Polix's Dragon helps you set an additional order from your drop to the order zone as long as they are all different names in your order zone, which is why it's so important that you play many random different orders and you can set them all with ease, right? So that you can have 4 orders. Again, this is also why Boundary of Twilight is so important in changing its name, so that you can actually set a second Boundary of Twilight from Polix's Dragon at no interference. Because previously for Orfist, for those of you who know, it was very difficult, right? If you drew too many of the same orders, you kind of brick. But this guy saves that and allows Polix's Dragon to return to the hyper threat he used to be. Again, the second skill for Polix's is just a refund skill, just to give you a draw, so that's nice. We play 4 copies of Near-Sech. Near-Sech is previously the front runner of the Office, Deus Office video that I did, the Hostage Office. Basically, the only reason why I'm playing this guy is just for the stats. He's a free 15k shield and a 20k beat stick, and he can recycle himself back to hand if you use him for, you know, the board purposes, and when he's retired, you can just bounce him back. So again, I still think he's really good. I did a whole video on him. Or some people may not play him, and I think frankly that's fine, but given how easy we built the board thanks to, again, I'm a broken recorder, Delcomanis and Boundary of Twilight, we can now afford to play more weirdly defensive options, or just more utility options even, because we now have a luxury knowing that our boards will be built for us. And my regardless piece is Unite the Sky. This one's just a one-off. You can play Twin Cast if you want, but frankly I prefer Unite the Sky. But honestly, Twin Cast is just 100% almost equivalent exchange if you want to, because it gives you 2 extra blocks of smaller rush attacks, which Orfist needs, because Orfist just does not have a great hand. But we do have a functional hand, we just don't have a great hand. And then our grade 1s, if you couldn't allude to it, I'm really not sure what you've been doing for this video. We play 4 copies of Boundary of Twilight. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. 4 copies of Delcomanis, that's also pretty obvious. 4 Perfect Guts, we're playing the original Perfect Guts because that's how long I've had them for. 4 copies of Shikanoko, because this is really strong. Searcher, just please play it. It got reprinted at Festival, you don't really have an excuse. And just a one-off Crystal Beast. If you don't want to, it's fine. I just thought it was nice because extra shield. But, you know, if you feel you can run off playing something else in this slot, power to you. Again, because of Delcomanis, we can play a lot less worlds, which is why I have this extra privilege to play extra space. But if you want to play something like, say, the Brandgate Ace unit, be my guest. And then, of course, our grade 0s. Our grade 0s are very simple. We just play 8 crit because we want to kill people. 4 heal. Again, I'm playing all the original crit and heals because I've been playing this deck for that long. We play 3 effect fronts. Again, this is just for firepower. We are very aggressive now with the Great One World, so we can just attack with multiple units on turn 1, which makes the front even more worth it because we're trying to push for game. In fact, one of the Orfist Regis players that I fought against recently, he was like, oh, I always need the blind go first because I just need the beat, and if I pull front trigger, I win. I was like, you know what? I respect that confidence. And of course, Elder Breath, because Elder Breath is the win con of every other bracket deck. And yeah, that will wrap up this deck profile review and discussion of Orfist Regis in 2025. In case I am not clear in this video, let me make sure I end it on a very clear note. I strongly believe Orfist Regis is playable today, and that is strictly because of the 2 new great ones it has gotten. Make no mistake, this deck may not be tier 1, may not be tier 0, but I definitely think in terms of rogue decks for Brandgate, as soon as they hit Batman, which I pray they've just hit on the ban list, because this video is pre-recorded by the way, you know, this really is one of the most fun Brandgate decks I've played in my life, and this is the best Orfist I've played in my life. I'm gonna be frank, this deck is so easy and so comfortable to play as compared to Orfist Masques. You're gonna feel like you're on vacation. I remember when I was playing Orfist Masques competitively, sometimes I would get a fever after the tournament, maybe because I'm just too sickly and pale. Sometimes during the tournament, I'll just straight up get a headache or migraine, or I'll start throwing up because I just felt so stressed. Like, there's so many things to think about. This deck is so easy. I think even a monkey could play it. Like, it is really so dumbed down in the best way possible, and that the fabled Great One World has finally been printed. Honestly, I just couldn't be happier. And yeah, I know it's gonna be a bit of a price barrier because this is a promo card, so it is gonna be difficult. But yeah, I don't want to say I've worked my ass for it by attending multiple tournaments a week, because that makes me sound like a tryhard. But I will say, if you're an Orfist player, you definitely should be buying this card or getting your hands on it. And if you can't get your hands on it now, please wait for the reprint in Festival 2026 and then pick it up, because this card easily is a mainstay in Orfist until Vanguard gets rebooted again, because that is how much of a comfort these two are in the deck. Whatever they print for Orfist after this, I have no problem. Okay, they now have set a bar so well for Orfist that no matter what they print after this, I'm not gonna feel upset or personally attacked anymore. No, we're gonna work with it, because this is finally a foundation Orfist players can be proud of. Even Orfist Masques, I've long cautioned that deck really felt like just breathing on fumes, because you're running on an engine that was dated, that eventually was going to die. And it did. But this is so fundamentally baked into the cake of Orfist that I'm just so grateful that Bushiroad has even decided to make these cards. So from the bottom of my heart, to Daisuke Izuka Sensei, to just everyone who worked on this deck, just thank you. I've really loved playing this, especially this version above all else, and it's really been fun. I will continue playing this at locals, I'll continue playing this at tournaments, I'll just continue playing this myself even, because I just love this so much. It's just so fun. And that's much more than I can say with 3/4 of the rogue decks that are all running around at mid-tier level. Like, do you feel fun playing Hard Lulu? I don't think so. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care. God bless. I love great ones.